Guys, welcome back to Six Cars. Day 2 here, Monterey Car Week. It's Tuesday. We're standing here on 17 Mile Drive, one of the most picturesque places in the world. So we've got a lot planned for day 2. There's a ton of hypercars and more collector cars rolling in. It's going to be extremely busy. So we're going to be covering a ton of ground, seeing lots of expensive cars. So of course, remember the magic words: subscribe, like, comment, and share. We'll make our way around the city of Monterey and Carmel, cover everything we can. So let's jump right into it. Well, what a way to kick off the morning here, guys. This is the Zonda Nero, a 1 of 1. I guess you could say pretty much every Zonda is technically a 1 of 1. They're all so different from each other, so many different variations, but all black and no exposed carbon fiber on the body paintwork, which is pretty interesting. Most of them these days are exposed carbon, so see one that's just paint is pretty nice. Obviously the wing and the intakes and everything are carbon, but little tiny details. Obviously the Cinque intakes, this little tiny, I guess you call it a mini shark fin, doesn't connect all the way back to the wing. Obviously, the one thing I do really love about the Zonda Nero, though, aside from it being the all-black sinister look, is that it is a manual, and those are always cool to see. So understandably, there's a lot of people around it. It is a Zonda after all, so it's kind of hard to get too up close to it, but there we go. Have a front look at the Zonda Nero. It is just beautiful. It never ever gets old seeing a road legal Zonda out in the wild. This is one that we've never seen before. It's new to the channel, and I gotta say, the spec is absolutely immaculate. And look at this, guys, just down the road in the same parking lot as the Zonda Nero, 2 Ferrari race cars. We got a Ferrari 308 LM, which is pretty interesting looking, or it's a GT2 spec, and honestly has body panels that are very similar to the 288 GTO. That is awesome. But this is absolutely incredible. A Ferrari 550 GTS that was built to compete in the old FIA GT1 championship. So it would have raced against some pretty iconic cars, but this on its own is just incredible looking. The sound of these things produce as well is just absolutely mega. This is from a bygone era of just special and cool race cars that you really don't see anymore. So again, the fact that this is ditched in a parking lot and absolutely nobody is around it is pretty damn special. And over there, got one of the coolest hatchbacks the world's ever seen, the Renault 5 Turbo 2, with that engine mounted in the back. Sort of the, I guess you could say, the predecessor to the famed Renault Sport Clio V6 of the modern era. But what a lineup. Oh, look, there's a Delta pulling in back there too. Man, it's officially car week, everybody. What a find. Here's a nice little random spot in an area where I haven't ever really seen any hypercars, in the middle of the Del Monte Forest. Got a Ferrari SP3 Daytona. Now, obviously, the part of the Icona series. It's not open top. It's not a track-only car like the SP1 or the SP2. Fully road legal. You can pop the top off of this as well. I love the heritage stripe down the middle with the classic red. It's got blue seats on it, and the SP3 has a lot of cool design cues. You can obviously see it influenced by a lot of classic Ferrari race cars, and with a name like Daytona, it all makes sense. You even got the gumball racing sticker on the back here, and just these ventilated or these slitted back end is just such a good look for this car. And I don't really have too much room back here, but you can kind of get a little glimpse of the back angle of the SP3. It's a fantastic looking car, and to see it out in the wild is pretty damn special. Again, absolutely nobody around, so we can take a minute to appreciate that and have a look at that. Just such a good looking car. All right, the Tuesday in Monterey continues. Another great find. We have a Chiron Super Sport here, parked at Spanish Bay. We had no luck here yesterday, but finally we have found a real treat, and this is, to my knowledge, a brand new Chiron Super Sport. It definitely was not here last year. This year we do have a new find. It does have a lot of cool painted lines. Of course, everything is hand painted. The rest of the car is exposed carbon fiber. There's the black badge, just like the Chiron Sport Gnarly we saw at RM yesterday. So a lot going on with this car, and honestly, I think a crazy design like this on a Bugatti really works. And you can see even the wheels down there are blue with the blue brakes. Man, every inch of this car is just oozing with coolness. And just a quick peek at the back here too. Mainly just wanted to give a shout out to the plate W16. That's an awesome pick. But even the blue lines go all the way to the back and right through to the engine cover too. So a great spec on the Chiron Super Sport. And finally we get a bit of luck here and get a hypercar at Spanish Bay. And we do have another hypercar friend who has joined the party here, the Agera XS. Now, I've seen this car before. I think it was about 8 years ago, my first car week back in 2016, before Six Cars even existed. So for everyone who hasn't seen this car, well, it's a great spec, and honestly, it's one of the first Agera RSs that was delivered in North America. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the owner down in Florida, but it's nice to see it sitting here beside this incredible Chiron Super Sport. And I think this is one of the better looking Agera RSs out there too. The orange, the carbon fiber accents is very nice. Wish it didn't park with the lift up, but hey, you can't have your cake and eat it too. This is just a real treat to see the Agera and the Chiron side by side. First things first, a Continental GT3R. I think there's only 99 of these in the world, What it is essentially a slightly homologated version of the old Continental GT3 race car, which, by the way, if anybody from Bentley is watching this, please get back into GT racing, because the Continental GT3 was by far one of the coolest modern GT3 cars in the world. And this was basically the tribute to that car. Once again, I think only 99 in the world, so incredibly rare. And you can tell with no people around, I don't think many people really even know what this is or really appreciate it, but 6 Cars definitely appreciates the Continental GT3R. That's a great find. Another random drive-by leap, a Lotus Avaya 2,000 horsepower electric hypercar, which is something that's brand new for Lotus. They usually make the tiny lightweight sports cars like the Elise and the Exige, but this thing obviously is an extremely modern looking hypercar. Have a look at the interior. It is just a full-blown race car for the road, an electric race car. My favorite part of this obviously is the back, these massive holes that go all the way through to the side, kind of like a la Ford GT, I would have to say. You obviously have the active aero back there too. That's a crazy car, and we just happened to stumble upon this in the middle of nowhere, really. Here comes that 4.0 again in orange. Absolutely lovely. So at the Polo Fields as well, we have a Maserati Tipo 61 Birdcage, a pretty iconic race car, probably one of the most famous Maserati race cars, I would have to say. It's pretty classic design. It's honestly much smaller in person than you would actually think, but it's a great body style, kind of reminiscent to some of the 280 Testarossas and things like that from Ferrari. The inside obviously is pretty awesome. There's no dashboard, everything's completely exposed. You can see all of the steering linkage, and just basically you have a steering wheel, a seat, and a shifter. So that is very cool, and obviously worth millions and millions of dollars, but another lovely treat at the Polo Fields. And if we shift around there is a big crowd over by one truck, so we'll see if anything cool is unloading over there too. Hey guys, just inside the truck here where the crowd was, we do have a purple carbon fiber Apollo IE, and it looks like it's just about to be unloaded. It looks like they're getting it started, so flip around to the back of the truck and watch this baby come out. Well, there we go. Now the volume has died down. It's actually crazy how loud this car is. This could honestly be the loudest street legal car I've ever heard from factory, but this Apollo IE is just incredible. We talk about unique and special cars that look one of a kind. Well, this truly fits that description. There is absolutely nothing like the Apollo IE, and that V12 is absolutely outrageous. Of course, you got the nice gull wing doors, and have a look at the interior too. It is full purple. Everything from the gauges, the shifters, even the purple carbon tub, everything is finished in purple. This is incredible. The mesh wheels here too. What a car. This is a great find here at the Polo Fields today, guys. We're doing pretty darn good for a Tuesday. How about that? A Jaguar D-Type, one of the most famous and most expensive Le Mans race cars of all time. Just chilling there in the open with the doors up. How cool is that? And look at that, it's even in the process of being plated too, so you might actually see this bumbling along the roads here near 17 Mile. Just so cool. Again, one of the only places in the world where you will see a Jaguar D-Type, a classic 1950s Le Mans race car, just casually driving on public roads. And just a quick shout out to the Lexus RCF GT3 at Polo Fields as well, the Vassar Sullivan team. And I don't remember when they did this livery. It might have been Road Atlanta or Petit Le Mans, but the black and the gold is sick. And it's just kind of cool to see it parked amongst regular spectator cars. And there we have an IMSA GT3 car. Only a car week, everybody. Just as we're leaving Polo Fields. Oh my goodness, a silver F40 with the LM kit. Wow, that is just mega. Look at this Carmel traffic, guys. We've got an Aston Martin Valor parking up, and we're gonna see if we can ditch somewhere and take a quick peek at that, because that is sick. And we do have a red P1 parked over there as well. We're still trying to find a place to park to go and look at the Valor. It's pandemonium. So there is the Aston Martin Valor. This one is finished in full green carbon. We saw the gold accents under the rear duckbill wing. It's a V12, it's manual, so obviously it's incredibly raw. It's a very sort of analog but modern car, and the body lines are fantastic. I can basically refer to this as well, the body style looks at least as a British muscle car, even though it has a V12 and not a traditional muscle car V8. This is really what the looks are giving me, and it's sort of inspired by that one-off, I think it was the Aston Martin Victor many years ago, or not too long ago, but now it seems like they've made a very few select clientele can purchase from Aston Martin. So this is the first one I've seen. It looks awesome. There's a better look at the back of the Aston Martin Valor, all again green carbon. But I mentioned before, just underneath the rear, I guess you call it duckbill, it is painted gold, and there's some gold accents, gold trimming over that rear deck lid or the trunk, and it's got these cool honeycomb wheels that I believe are the same ones you can get on the Valkyrie. So really nice touches on this car. I think it looks fantastic, and Aston Martin definitely nailed it. The fact it's a V12 and a manual too really puts the score very high for this car. And as promised, there is the P1 we drove by very briefly while we were looking for the Valor Volcano Red. Can't really go wrong. It's a classic color for these P1s, and of course this is how you do it properly, guys. Park it in race mode with the wing up so everybody can see it. Now again, this is still my personal favorite from the OG Holy Trinity of the 2010s Hypercars. The P1 it just looks so good, and honestly every time I see one it just gets better with age. And street parked here, there's nothing in front of it. It's the only car here on Ocean Avenue right now. It's looking pretty damn good. Okay, if you guys remember last year's Car Week vlogs, I pretty much picked up every Canadian plated car I could find. Here is the first one we could find on Tuesday. I've got the BC plated 997.1 GT3 RS silver with orange, very good spec. It's aftermarket wheels actually, but it looks pretty minty fresh, I would have to say. And yes, I'll always shout out the Canadian cars and shout out the motherland, so we'll see if we see some more throughout the week. Well, little parking lot spotting in Carmel. Look at that, we got a Wire Roadster, 48 Pista, Vantage, and an EB110. Not a bad little lineup, guys, in a random underground. So it's not an SS, it doesn't have the rear wing obviously, but it's still an EB110. It is still so damn good. I absolutely love the styling of this. It is like peak 90s hypercar. The styling, everything about this body is so good, and the gray is really nice. It's a little different from the silver one we saw back at the RM auction, so that is an absolute treat. And then we'll keep walking down the line. We see the Vantage in a nice blue. It looks really good. 48 Pista with the blue seats, and we do have a full carbon Wire Roadster with some nice red accents. That's a pretty good lineup for a random little garage, guys. So take your pick. I would probably have to go with the EB110, but that Wire is a nice spec as well. Jacob & Co. Chiron Super Sport. Wow, now that is a good spec. So although it's tough to see, all the Jacob & Co. logos are stitched into the headrest of the seats. You can see the blue and white exterior matches the blue and white interior. We're gonna get some driving action here as it pulls away from the crowds on 17 Mile. But it's a really good looking spec. And once again, I have to reiterate, the Super Sport is the best looking Chiron variant. And look at the crowds getting a full on parade here. Oh, perf spider. Something red. Look at this, guys. Don't we all need money for a Lambo? Well, at least he's letting his feelings known. Now this is truly Car Week in a nutshell. Driving down 17 Mile and you just randomly see a 250 California competition parked up alongside the Pacific Ocean. The setting is absolutely beautiful. The car is beautiful. Obviously, the value of this car is through the roof. I can't even imagine what the estimate might be on this. I do believe it's going up at the RM auction, but here we get a nice free preview in one of the best settings in the world. This is just magnificent. Chimera 037 cruise, people. Another epic collection of hypercars, guys. Senna GTR. And here comes the Apollo IE, doors up with the Chiron behind it. That looks incredible. Hopefully it makes some good noise with that V12 as well. Now the Senna GTR. Oh. Was not expecting to see a Senna GTR power slide today. That was remarkable. And here's a 250 California competition as well. And just to finish the day, of course, we saw the black Chiron Super Sport drive-by with the blue stripes. There's a white one joining the party as well. And we have the P1 HDK that we saw back at O'Gara Coach in Beverly Hills. So a nice little trio of hypercars to finish Tuesday here at Monterey Car Week.